Welcome to the Pregnancy Help News Brief. I'm Lisa Bourne, Managing Editor of Pregnancy Help News. Here's a look at this month's top stories. A pregnancy help organization in Nigeria is offering refuge to victims of human trafficking and their babies. After 17 months in jail, pardoned pro-life activist John Hinshaw has only gratitude. A new study has raised the question of whether so-called emergency contraception drugs could become the new abortion pill. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has signed a law to shield abortionists in the state who prescribe chemical abortion drugs for out-of-state women. The U.S. Army has been sued after stonewalling the release of records on training slides calling pro-life organizations terrorist groups. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. vowed in his Senate confirmation hearing to uphold President Trump's policies on life and to investigate chemical abortion drug Mifepristone. Now let's take a more detailed look at these stories. Nigerian pastor Ifada Enua and her husband have taken in trafficked women and girls as well as their babies to offer them a new life. Through the Restorer of Paths Care Foundation, Pastor Enua cares for teenage moms along with street children and orphans. Pastor Enua shared how she herself became a mother at the age of 15 when she was sexually assaulted, and that she has a heart for serving young girls and teenage mothers. Pro-life advocate John Hinshaw was among 23 pro-life individuals pardoned last month by President Trump after they had been charged and sentenced under the FACE Act. Hinshaw was sentenced to 21 months in jail in May of 2024 for his part in protesting abortion at the facility operated by abortionist Cesar Santangelo, who conducted abortions through the 9th month, and the center where 5 late-term aborted children may have been either killed by illegal partial birth abortion or, after being born alive, were found. While he spent 17 months in jail for praying and offering help to women in unplanned pregnancies at that abortion center, Hinshaw shared with Pregnancy Help News that he only has gratitude for his family, for the inspiration to defend unborn life, for his lawyers, and for all those who prayed for him and other incarcerated pro-life advocates. Since returning home to his family on Long Island, Hinshaw has already been back to pray at the Planned Parenthood in Hempstead, New York, where he's been a regular for years. He and his wife Brenda were planning a trip to meet the second of 2 granddaughters born while he was incarcerated. He met the first granddaughter right after his release from jail in late January. A troubling trend has emerged among legacy media, which is a consistent neglect or outright misrepresentation of pregnancy help organizations and their impact. This misrepresenting of pregnancy help organizations is glaring, given that year after year, pregnancy help organizations achieve satisfaction ratings exceeding 95% from their clients, women who have experienced their care firsthand. Journalism should be rooted in a commitment to inform and educate, not to dictate opinion, Heartbeat International Vice President of Communications and Marketing Andrea Trudden wrote in a commentary piece. And when ideology dictates coverage, it leaves women with fewer resources and a distorted understanding of their options. This is a betrayal of the public trust and a failure of journalism's core mission. Countless testimonies to the work of pregnancy help organizations from mothers who have been helped by these organizations are available if reporters and news outlets are truly interested in telling the truth about pregnancy help organizations. A new study suggests that a pill previously used only for emergency contraception could be repurposed as an abortion drug. In areas where abortion is limited or expensive, this drug is a potential alternative to Mifepristone, one of the 2 drugs used in the most common type of abortion in the U.S. Heartbeat International Senior Director of Medical Impact, Krista Brown, writes about how the emergency contraceptive drug Ella is being studied for abortion use in order to more readily get abortion into life states, which have set limits on Mifepristone. Brown examines how Ella is like the abortion pill, why it would be used for abortion, how Ella is different from Plan B, the risks of chemical abortion, and what this all means for preborn babies and women. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed a law earlier this month allowing abortionists to put the name of their facility rather than their personal name on the pharmacy labels of abortion drugs that they prescribe to mothers. The measure seeks to protect New York abortion providers from prosecution by other state governments seeking to prevent their citizens from killing their unborn babies. It also seeks to protect specific abortionists from potential disciplinary actions by licensing boards. Hochul said that New York will always protect women's right to abort their unborn children, and the state will also work to protect the ability of women in other states to obtain abortions. A national security watchdog sued the Army late last month to force them to hand over records pertaining to PowerPoint slides used in a training that called pro-life organizations terrorist groups. The Center to Advance Security in America filed the lawsuit to enforce a Freedom of Information Act request pertaining to revelations in July of 2024 that U.S. Army Base Fort Liberty used education materials labeling certain pro-life organizations as terrorist groups, which was shown to over 9,000 soldiers over 7 years. The Army later officially apologized for the slides and opened an investigation into the matter in July, telling the U.S. House Armed Services Committee that the content in a picture of the slides in a briefing is inconsistent with Army policies and that the slides at issue will not be used again and will be replaced. Late last month, an Indiana appeals court affirmed a prior ruling dismissing a professor's defamation suit against an independent student newspaper at the University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame sociology professor Tamara Kay sued the Irish Rover in 2023 over reports that depicted her as supportive of expanding access to abortion, with Kay arguing the paper's reporting misrepresented her views. Kay filed the suit over 2 articles that reported on the professor's alleged abortion activism, including her alleged efforts, documented by the Rover, to help students obtain both emergency contraception and abortifacients. In part, Kay argued that a sign she placed on her office door proclaiming it as a safe space to get help and information on all healthcare access was related to student sexual assaults and did not pertain to abortion, as the Rover had written. The Rover, in response to Kay's lawsuit, lodged an anti-SLAPP, which means Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation, filing, a motion meant to prevent the use of courts and potential litigation to intimidate people exercising their First Amendment rights. On January 24th of 2024, Judge Stephen David of the Indiana Supreme Court dismissed the case under Indiana's anti-SLAPP law, ruling that Kay's defamation claim, quote, fails as a matter of law, end quote. Kay filed an appeal in February 2024. The appellate court decision, handed down on January 30th of this year by Judge Paul D. Mathias, states that the trial court, quote, properly dismissed Dr. Kay's complaint under Indiana's anti-SLAPP statute, end quote. Further, quote, the designated evidence established as a matter of law that the Irish Rover acted in good faith and in reasonable basis in law and fact, end quote, Mathias wrote in his decision. Women who live in the maternity home House of Mary near Livingston, Texas, were among those honored with a special photo shoot to remember their pregnancy. These ladies were also part of the Embrace Grace program at First Assembly of God Church in Livingston. A local photographer offered to perform the photo shoot to help the moms rejoice over their expectant bundles and all that they have accomplished through the Embrace Grace program. The moms were excited to take part in the photo shoot. A leader with the Embrace Grace program said, "They all looked gorgeous, and it was a joy-filled moment." Morgan Westbrook, a mom of 4 who lives in Texas, shared in another article how Embrace Grace helped her as an expectant mother, and Embrace Life later helped her as a single mother. Westbrook would then go on to serve other women like herself by becoming the office administrator for Embrace Grace. As President Trump's nominee for HHS Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. sought to appease concerns from the pro-life community over his support for abortion by telling senators at his confirmation hearing late last month that he will abide by Trump administration policies on the issue of life, and also that he believes, quote, every abortion is a tragedy, end quote. RFK Jr. also said that Trump had asked him to study the safety of chemical abortion drug Mifepristone. RFK was confirmed as Secretary of Health and Human Services for the Trump administration on February 13th. Later that day, he reiterated Trump's call for a safety study of Mifepristone in an interview on Fox News Channel's The Ingram Angle program. Kennedy said he thinks that this is worth doing. And he said that during the Biden administration, the NIH did something that was inexcusable, which is to tell doctors and patients not to report injuries. And this is not a good policy. Leaders with Heartbeat International called for women's safety to be front and center with this issue, and that it is only common sense that an emphasis on making America healthy again would include a realistic look at chemical abortion's impact on women. All of these stories and more are available to you 24/7 at pregnancyhelpnews.com. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Pregnancy Help News Brief on the Pregnancy Help Podcast. I'm Lisa Bourne. Subscribe to receive updates on future episodes.